Hold on one second here. I'm going to screw up this intro because it's been a little while. So, what's up, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show where we talk about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw. On the other side, we got.
Tim Wagner, and you nailed it. Nailed
I
it.
did. I did. I thought I was going to screw it up. It's been a little while since we recorded,
Yeah,
but I
but
got it.
no,
I
that
got it. Ooh.
that was perfect. No
Woo.
second take necessary. Woo!
No, I
Ric
usually
Flair in
say,
it.
"How's it going, friends and family of the internet?" And I said, "What's up?" But hey, you know
Oh,
what?
what's up? Who cares?
Same fucking thing.
What's it going, family and friends of the interwebs?
That could be yours. That could be your catch. Ah. So it's been a little while since we recorded. I don't care if we put that out there. I mean, we know that we do this Monday, every other Monday.
Yeah.
But we're gonna drop this one to try to get some episodes out and get it rolling. So we're gonna do a couple in a row. But
Oh yeah.
it's been a little while. I wanna share one thing is I made barbecue sauce today,
Ooh,
and, and
nice.
it's fucking awesome, dude. Nailed it. First try. It's not my first
Dope.
try. I've definitely made barbecue sauce before.
Yeah.
Um, Sarah didn't let me have the bourbon in it, so the pregnant wife is like, "Don't put the bourbon in
Yes.
it."
Mm, yeah, that's probably a
And
good call.
it's okay. All the alcohol cooks off and stuff. But anyways,
Yeah, I
she
mean,
she's just not a liquor drinker like me. Like I drink bourbon, so I like that hint of bourbon in
oh,
there.
for
But she said
sure.
take it out, and
Mm.
it turned out really good. Oh, it was. I'm proud of it.
Dude, I drink bourbon too, and it's different.
So what do you mean it's different? Bourbon's different, or what do you mean?
No, so barbecue sauce with bourbon, like it's not like drinking it. It's delicious. Have you ever had the Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce that they have at TGI Fridays?
No, I had the burger
Oh
one
my
time with it on
goodness.
there, but
Yes.
it was so blended in, I don't really recall
Mm, it's nice. I that stuff is like I literally one time I don't even remember the dishes. I just remember the sauce. Like the dishes were subpar, but the sauce was good, and I was just like seeking out whatever had it on there. Just reading through their menu. Like, does it have the sauce? Yeah, it has that sauce. Give me that dish. Like I don't even care
Give
what
me
it is.
whatever it is.
As long as it's covered in that shit, I'm eating it. So good.
Oh my god. And Jack has that different like Jack has such a unique spice to it that it does change it. I actually thought about giving that a go, but they already make it, so, whatever. I'm not gonna try to go down that route.
Right. But being a copycat works sometimes. Like if you make stuff, that feels just as good to me. Like if I'm at home
Sure.
and I recreate a dish that is one of those copycat dishes and it tastes just like
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
restaurant, I'm like, oh yeah, I got
It's
the
true.
same results for way cheaper and I can do it whenever I want now.
Right, right, right. Exactly. Just give yourself the pat on the back and go, yeah, but
Right.
so now I can just do that whenever. I can
Nailed it.
I don't have to save up $60 to go to the restaurant.
Right. And then you got that in your back pocket too when you're like at home or you got people over. What do you want to go like you want to go to this? Oh, I'm craving this from this restaurant. Bro, I got you. I can make that right now, right
I,
here. I have that recipe. I know how to make it. It's the same thing. Let's
yep.
just chill. I'm gonna make
Let's
it.
just get a bottle of bourbon and some Coors and fucking hang out and make this dish.
Yeah, but
We
be
don't have to go to the
forewarned.
restaurant.
Be forewarned. If I drink too much of that bourbon, it might turn out a little bit weird. Like, I missed a couple of steps. It's this sauce is
Oops.
way too runny and I was trying to make a hamburger. This is chicken. I don't know. Let's
We
just
shouldn't
eat
have
it.
started so early.
Right. We should have made the food and then drank.
Uh, I've been there. I've been there.
Oh,
All
I'm in
right,
there too.
let's let's get into it. We
Yep.
got, I think, a fun episode today. I'm gonna go for our fishing. We're going to talk about licensing, which I know sounds boring as fuck. I know it does, but it's not. I
Mm,
don't think it is. I don't know. Whatever. I'll throw some
mm.
numbers out there, but also it's very important, I think, and that's why I want to bring it up. Um,
Yes,
and we're not
it's
going to get
definitely
all into
important.
the, yeah, we won't get super deep into like too much, but yeah, okay, we're going to get deep on it. Random take is going to be on baseball cards or sports cards or whatever it was that you collected. Uh, but anyways, that's how it's going to go. Let's start with licensing. I wanted to start with cost because I don't know. I think there's people out there that say, well, what the hell do I have to pay money for to fish? Like, it's just water. Like, I live in America. This is America. Let's go fishing. But obviously, a lot of this goes to funding, right? That's why you buy licenses. You buy licenses so that you can fund the DNR so that they can do their research and then, we can go to preserving lands and waters and stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep. Mhm.
Super
Yeah.
important.
So important. Yeah, because it's not you're not just like paying the DNR officer's salary. I can't remember what they're called.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
sounded wrong, but whatever. Uh you're paying for the money that they're putting into the lakes. Like it's not free to stock all those fish. They don't just like grow them, they don't just take them out of a bigger lake that has a bunch of fish and then put them into a different one. Like those are in, I believe, in a lab for the most part, like
Yeah, I mean, it's
big
like a farm
tanks.
in a
Yeah, right.
just it's
Yeah, a farm is
easiest way to
probably a
put it
better
is just
word.
like
Yeah.
it's a farm and then they move them into the wild. They make
Yeah.
more fish in a farm and then they let them go when they're big enough. I mean,
Yeah, and
that's
it's
not free.
pretty dope to watch that. I don't know if you ever seen that before, but you should go
Mm-mm.
find that on YouTube because they're like in big like tanker trucks, and then they'll put like a big fire hose, and then they open up, yeah, and then and then they open it up. I mean, it's not the same pressure as a fire hose, but they're just like just they just open it up, fish away, or they-
And they just shoot the fish into the lake?
pretty much. Like I've seen a bunch of different kinds. Like there's ones where it's like a
Sure,
hose
sure.
where it's not necessarily like pressurized, but it's the same effect as like a water tower. Like the tank is just so big and the hose is on the bottom that when you open it up, it comes out relatively fast and it's just boom, 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 just fish after fish flying in. And I've seen them like where they have like a cement truck where they have the chute too. They just open it up and just
Oh,
fish.
yeah. Okay, that one sounds familiar to me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so just so
And they
many
just
fish.
comes.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Just
crazy.
like it's time to bring them to their homes.
Right.
Fish. Here's all these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not like they're giving you like farmed fish or fake fish or whatever. It's just how they
Mm.
control the popular help control the population, how you make it so that you can fish this many on that lake and
Right. Yeah.
it's not fake fishing in the sense of you're not going to a tank and catching fish out of a tank because
Right.
they're just putting this many more fish back into the lake. All of these fish will become part of the ecosystem. They're not.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not
And a
like you just
big.
stock them and then go put a hook in the water and go like, "Boop, got a fish, got a fish, got a fish, got my limit. I'm leaving."
Right. Right. Yeah. No, it's definitely not that simple. The most of the lakes in Minnesota are stocked. Any of them that are decent to go to, at least. But
Sure.
they're the big difference between like that and a farmed fish are the farmed fish, like the ones that you buy in the grocery store. Them are eating just random food that they're making for them, like these pellets
Right.
of like,
Mhm.
we put just the right amount of protein and whatever else, and like the salmon, they're
Mhm.
adding like there's some dye or something in there too because
To make it more red, right?
yeah,
To make it more pink or
the
whatever, so it
farm
looks better
salmon,
on the shelf.
yeah, so it looks like actual salmon. Like the farm salmon don't get pink at all from what I've heard. If you Because
Mhm.
it's their diet just like a flamingo. They have to eat what they're
Right.
eating in the wild, otherwise they don't turn that color, and they
Right.
don't get
Mhm.
it in the farm salad. place and it's too expensive to replicate their actual diets, so they just put the coloring in there to make them look like it. But yeah,
Right.
the farmed ones, I think they
And
probably
somebody,
start
just
them out.
quick second, somebody who knows more about that, please contact us. There's contact on
Yeah.
realaf.tv, and we're on Twitter and Instagram. You can tell us, because if you know a lot about that stuff, I want to talk to you, because everything you're saying, Tim, is the same stuff that I've heard. And
Right.
yeah, I love the flamingo analogy. That was perfect, or comparison.
Ooh, yeah. My wife likes flamingos. That's a random side note. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but
No, but we
now you
could go down
guys.
a flamingo. Flamingos are fucking dope, but we can't go down that range, because what we're talking about is funding. Essentially, we're talking about funding wildlife, specifically
Mhm.
fishing, of course, because that's what we
Yep.
do here at Real AFTV.
Yup.
So I got these numbers. They're from fishingduo.com, which I actually think is just a couple who
Oh,
likes fishing and does research, and they have a blog. Um,
nice.
but I'm going to trust them. $25 average license costs in the United States for a local, because that's
Yeah.
going to be a big distinction here. Visitors, $65 average for a
Yep.
fishing license.
Yeah.
Have you ever fished out of state before?
Yes.
Tell me
Yes,
about
I
it.
have. I have fished in Florida and I fished in Wisconsin and I think that's about it. But in Wisconsin I bought like a couple day one. I can't remember. I think they had like 3 day ones. Um so I just bought that so I could legally fish in Wisconsin. And
Hmm.
then in Florida, like as long as you're with a guide, they have like special rules. Like the guide is allowed to bring you without having you get a permit or whatever. But
Okay.
I went and bought like the temporary permit in Florida because the guy I was with was just kind of a fucking tool, and he made
Oh
it
yeah.
sound all under the table like, "Man, nah, you'd be fine. Just come out and fish with me." And just like, I don't
That
want to
sounds
just,
sketchy.
yeah, Florida's sketchy. I don't want to just go out with you. Like, what happens if we get caught? You just toss me into the gators? I'm not, I'd rather just pay my couple day fee to fish legally, and then I get there and he's like, "Oh, I told you you didn't have to. Like, I have you covered." Yeah, I didn't care for
Huh.
that guy at all. I wish I could remember
Was
his name because I would definitely tell people do not go and have him fish with you. Like he showed me all of his dope reels and rods, and he's like, "Yeah, I got really nice setups." And you're like, "Perfect. Yeah, let's go fishing." Because he was asking me if I wanted to use artificials or live bait, and I was like, "Artificials, please. Like I want to fish like I fish to catch this fish. I don't want to just drag live bait and be like, "Hey, look at this big bass I
Mhm.
caught." Using a
Mhm.
sunfish that I can't use in Minnesota as bait. But uh, he's just like, okay. And then he gives me the oldest uh fiberglass rod and reel setup I've seen in ages. Like this still works. And then I tried to cast it and it backlashed right away because he didn't have it dialed in very well. And there was
Mm.
another boat passing by, and then he yells to that guy, "Backlash!" Like they must have known each other. And then, but the way he said it was like, "Yeah, I got
Oh,
another
like, "Huh, look
rookie
at this
casting like
idiot."
an
Yeah,
idiot," and it's like, no,
right.
you gave me a
Get
garbage
out of here.
ass piece of shit and expected me just to sling it. Like I thought you had it dialed in. Like you
Thought
already
you had
had
it dialed
this.
in already.
Yeah, I thought you had this lure on here. I thought you know, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Side
Yeah,
note, but
so
yes,
actually, curious about that though is, Florida, they they separate between salt and freshwater.
yeah,
So what were you fishing?
I
And
would. That
yeah,
time
what
it
were you
was
fishing?
that time it was freshwater. I've
Mhm.
fished both in Florida, but that time it was for bass, and that's the only time I've
That
been
time it was.
fishing for
Mhm.
bass in Florida. And
Okay, yep.
that guy, like the
Kind of
saltwater
fucked your
guy,
experience.
Yeah, the saltwater guy was awesome. We
Nice.
went down there and it was another one of those rookie, like, never did any of that stuff. And we get down there and we're just like, tarpon. Tarpon are so cool. We want to catch tarpon. And the guy's like,
Yeah.
this time of year, tarpon is not a real thing that we can do. Like, we'd have to go out and
Mm,
fish really
like
deep. And we're like,
way
oh
out.
shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he's like, but we got a lot of fish up shallow. And we're just like, well, yeah, dude, if you can put us on fish, I guess. Like, tarpon are cool, but if we're gonna spend all day to maybe not catch any fish, and you can put us on fish, just put us on whatever. And we caught all
Right.
sorts of stuff with him, so that was a good
That's cool.
experience. But the
Good. Good.
the the in the inland water,
Inland
the,
freshwater is
that
bullshit.
guy that guy sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we got a buddy down there that does saltwater stuff. Tony Young, Forever Young
Yes,
Charters.
sir. Yep. Shout
What?
out to Tony doing
What
that
up?
spearfishing stuff. Oh,
Oh my God, his Instagram is great. Um,
yeah,
so dude, so check this out as far as water, like salt water and stuff like that. Hawaii residents,
yeah.
all in one. Saltwater, freshwater, doesn't matter. I don't even know if Hawaii has freshwater. Please, if you're listening in Hawaii, let me know because I would
Oh
love
man,
that.
yeah. I don't know. That would be
Seriously,
cool.
hit me up because I don't know if there. I honestly, that's just a big blind spot, right? Because we live in the land of 10,000 lakes. It's all freshwater, and
Right.
all I think about is Hawaii saltwater. That's it. But there must be freshwater there. $6, dude. $6 for a fishing license for a local in Hawaii. That's all they pay.
That's pretty dope.
Isn't that sick? I
But
saw that and I was like, oh, I
I
got to note
suppose,
that.
yeah, I suppose it comes down to like what you have to, where your money goes to with conservation efforts and stuff. With
Right.
Hawaii, as far as fishing goes, like you said, like if there is fresh water, it's probably like one pond and there's like a fish in there and it has a name. Like people know that fish.
Right.
They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
Maui or whatever, and
Yep.
we feed them hot dogs, and then like they and they don't have to worry about stocking anything because the ocean, you can't stock that shit.
Right, yeah. I
So
wonder. I mean, it's only 26 even for visitors, which of
yeah,
course or from our perspective, Hawaii's got a lot of tourism, which I think is not even from our perspective thing. That's just a simple fact.
right.
But it's still only $26 for visitors that to go
That's pretty
get
cheap.
one, and yeah, and it's still it's salt and freshwater, so wherever you want to go.
I would like to hear what the reasoning is behind that too. Like, I guess I don't understand why it's more expensive for visitors to come in to buy a license. I don't know what the science is behind that.
Yeah,
I
like
don't-
what's the
can't
yeah
think of a better
to
word.
in order to keep no, but I get the like what's the logic behind putting
Logic,
like
there you
letting
go.
the I mean, you live there, you pay taxes there, like because usually when you live there, you pay more local taxes and stuff like that. I'm sure it has to do with that, the way the funds are shifted around.
Mm. Yeah, that could be like they're just like, hey, you already give us money because you live here. So
Hmm.
that's
So we don't have
probably,
to like charge you more. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
I only
answer.
I only fished outside of the state once, and it was in Indiana or it was in Illinois. They had a day pass. Like, I just bought a day pass. It was
Oh
still
yeah,
like
you can
30
do
bucks or
that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of places have like a 1 day pass.
Mhm.
We kind of
Yeah.
fished in Canada when we
What?
on that um houseboat for your bachelor
Mm.
party.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
was like
Yeah,
those
the border
lakes
was
were
like
in the middle of the lake. Like if you fish the north side of the lake, you're in Canada.
mhm. Mhm.
That was kind of weird where they're just like, yeah, don't fish the north side of the lake because you got to have a Canadian fishing license over there. And you're like, what?
Yep. What?
Wish I would have
No,
known
I
that
remember
before I
that.
was marking all these spots on my map. Like, I like this. Oh, shit, we can't go over there anymore because I'm not paying extra money to fish that side of the lake.
Right, yeah, especially for a few well, international is a whole different story. I didn't even look into that, but it is. And yes, in Minnesota, we are fortunate enough to have that pretty easy option. We were still only because I remember where the border was, dude. We were quarter mile fishing within the border.
Yeah, yeah,
And oh, speaking of places that don't have access to Canada waters but are crazy, well, and really from a Midwest perspective, are you really surprised by this? California, $51. That's not.
stupid.
It's yep. There's no split there, so it's not horrible. You just straight up have to pay $51, and this
I
is
guess
as a
everything's just
resident.
more
It's
expensive
about
there.
$51. Yeah,
I
that's what
wonder
I'm
if
thinking
that's
too.
like, I wonder if that has something. I mean, that's a really big state too. So
Mm-hmm.
if they have to fund the conservation efforts for the whole thing,
Right. I mean, they have some of the
yeah,
most coastline out of the. I mean, I'm not going to look that up, but yeah, think how big that coastline is, because that's one license. It's salt, fresh, whatever, but that's a resident. $51. Again, we established that at the beginning. Resident is cheaper. Average $25 for a local resident. People coming in are $65. So a resident in California is about a $51 charge. It's pretty insane. So I actually looked at the um, West Coast just because I was curious from that. Oregon, $44. Again, no split, so they get saltwater or freshwater because they have it. Washington, though, they do about $30 a piece. Washington State, they do the split. So you can buy a freshwater one or you can buy a saltwater one. Total is about $60. I just was I was fascinated by the West Coast because they're not the only ones doing the split. Or Washington is the only one on the West Coast doing the split. But if you go to like Louisiana, Alabama, Maryland, South Carolina, these states they're splitting between saltwater and freshwater. So I don't know, I found that very curious when I was looking into all of this.
that is interesting though. Like to have the split. Like it's weird to be like, yeah, you only have to pay this much if you want to fish freshwater, but you have to pay extra if you want to fish saltwater because the saltwater doesn't seem like there's really much of a conservation effort that has to go towards it. It's like,
Yeah,
what
I really
do
wonder
you
about
have
that.
to do with the ocean? Like, are you paying for them to try to go and pick up garbage floating around out there? I don't really know what else you do. Like, I mean, maybe invasive species effort because that's where some of the money goes towards in the inland waters, like trying to get rid of
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
the milfoil and the zebra mussels and all that stuff. But I don't know how much the efforts go towards getting rid of that stuff. I would assume that they put a lot towards it. It seems like some of the lakes they put up signs and they're just like, ah, the shit's here now. Yeah, you
Right,
just
right.
like be
Yeah,
forewarned, it's here.
right. Yep. No,
So
and I agree. And I retweet stuff like that because I follow the DNR on Twitter. So check us out at realaf_TV because they can't put a dot on Twitter. Uh, you'll probably catch stuff like that from Minnesota when they're tweeting it because invasive species are a problem. But
for sure,
yeah, I don't know seriously what is going. Like, I don't know how the ocean works because so I've been to Australia for uh, our honeymoon.
yeah,
And of course, over there, you have the Great Barrier Reef and the increasing acidity of the ocean levels. It's wreaking havoc and it's crazy. So, a lot of the things that you pay for to go on a tour to the Great Barrier Reef go towards trying to figure out what's going on and like all of that kind of. I wonder if that is more what the saltwater stuff is. And again, I also want to clarify is not that you pay more to go into the ocean, it's just you get to choose one way or the other when they do the split. So like you go to Louisiana or Alabama or Washington and
right.
you want to fish just the ocean, you only pay the one time fee. But you want to go inland and fish, well, you got to have a different license for that. So you end up paying two, and that's how like Washington ends up at the like $60 to fish the entire state, which is something we don't have to deal with. It's very I don't know, different. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's very different.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's a good way of putting it. It's weird to think about because, like you
Yeah,
said,
for
you
us
can
being from
choose
the
to.
middle of the country, it's
Yeah,
very different. It's very different to
yeah.
think about.
Like you can, because how you put it, you're like you can choose to fish the one or the other, and I'm like thinking, well, how come I have to pay the same amount to fish both? But I guess we're just getting too far into it, wondering, thinking about what it could be when there's probably a way simpler answer.
Yeah, well, probably, but that's also part of the reason I brought all this up in the first place. I mean, that's part of the discussion.
Right.
One weird thing though, this was one of the weirdest ones that I found.
Yeah.
So you remember I said uh, it's about it's about $51 for someone in California, and it's
Yep.
not split. You know, it's so Texas is $40. I know they have way less coastline, but they have coastline,
Right.
and it was just a surprise to see Texas, but they don't really have any freshwater, I guess, either. I bet you. But on that note, they probably don't have a ton of freshwater. Hit us
Mhm.
up if you're from Texas to tell us more. But at realaft.tv, there's a contact form. Hit us up. Uh, we think of Texas as a desert here in the upper part of the Midwest. And from what I've heard, because I have been to Texas, I didn't get to fish, but we went to water. You know, we went to the beach. We went to visit a friend who used to live in Minnesota and then moved to Texas, and so she understood, of course, like, hey, we're from Minnesota. What do we do in the summertime? We go to the beach, and they were like, yeah, we'll go to a beach, no problem. And they were just like, oh, like all the water around here is reservoirs and stuff. It's fake. We dug it. You know, it's all man made. So of course they're
Right.
stocking that. You guys have that
Yeah.
stuff in St. Cloud, right?
Which part are you asking? Like if we have
Oh, the stuff
man-made?
like you have, yeah, like you have stuff that's already like it doesn't have an inlet or an outlet or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's stocked with fish.
Yeah. Like I don't know how often it gets stocked. Like if it just got stocked once upon a time and then there's just stuff in there, but
And
it's
then
sure
nature took
seemed, yeah,
over.
like Lake George is a small little lake in the middle of town, and there's definitely no inlets uh, to that. They
Mhm.
had to have stocked it one time, but I did notice one time in the later spring, I was walking around it, and literally every spot you could see that was shallow enough had a crappie spawning in it. Like just massive amounts of crappie spawning in it. But they weren't very
Mhm.
big, so I was like,
Mm.
are these all new to this pond? And I don't know
Mm. Mhm.
how, I think it's like 20 feet deep at its deepest point. So I
Hmm.
think that it doesn't have the winter freeze problems because,
Mhm.
it's just in the middle of town. It doesn't really, it's pretty well
Ah,
protected.
it doesn't.
Protected.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't think it, and I mean, it doesn't really change how cold it gets there. We both know that
Mhm.
it gets super fucking cold,
It
but
gets super cold in the middle of the state. Yes, it does.
right, but yeah, I don't know. I've never seen them stocking it, but they definitely have had to, if not continuously, because there's quite a bit of fish in there. And the koi, oh my God, they're monstrous. I was just out
Oh,
there again and I
people letting
thought
them
maybe they
go,
were
dude.
gone. Dude, I think they were put in there by the city at one point. But those things, like
What?
I only see the back of them. I can't see how fat they are because some of those kois you just see the back and you don't know when you get them. When you hold up a carp or a koi like that at a certain point, when they get bigger, their backs and the length of them don't change much, but
Mhm.
their
Mhm.
stomachs get gigantic. And
Oh, they grow down.
yeah,
What to a fish?
it's
It's down.
yeah, it's not real clear water, so I can tell what
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
looking at because I can just see this. bright white line moving
Oh
underneath the
boy.
water. And I'm like, that's one of those giant ass koi's, but I can't get a good look at it, but I know what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
and
I know what
they're
you're saying.
big. They gotta
Yeah.
be a good like you know 26 to 28 inches long. I don't know how what the weight of that would be, just because I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
know anything
Because you
about
probably
koi.
right. Yeah. But there's a look out for an episode on koi coming. That's for sure. There.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to say any deep research. I mean, we're doing a lot of speculating on this. But yeah, that was the thing that threw me off just with Texas and get to back to licensing is
Mhm.
$40 for Texas is like I think they have to stock everything. It's just like I don't know how,
Yeah, they have to
but
stock
it's a
everything.
huge,
Yeah.
huge state. Lots of people. I mean,
I don't know. I don't think they have a ton of lakes though. I think they have some
yeah.
real big massive ones, but I don't think that they have a ton.
Mm,
Like Lake
right, right,
Fork.
right, right.
Lake Fork is a very famous lake down there. Um
Okay.
very
I
well
know
known.
nothing about Lake Fork. You
Yeah.
tell me
The
what you know.
lake I know that it's good enough that um there are lures that are called Lake Fork, like soft
What?
plastics and stuff.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
they're not as well known, but they're Lake Fork soft plastics. Um, the bass guys know about them. I would
Mm,
assume
mm-hmm.
the rest of them. I don't know, but and I
Right.
don't know if they're still made. It's like I don't know what's still made anymore with this COVID stuff. You go to the
Yeah.
lure store and it's like everything's picked over and you're like, do they still make
Damn.
lures? I don't even remember anymore. It doesn't matter, but
Really?
it's pretty crazy. The selection's terrible. But
Wow.
it is what it is. But yeah, Lake Fork is very famous. There's
Hmm.
one of the Guggen Squad members
Oh yeah.
goes by the Lake Fork guy. Like that's just what they call him. I don't know his real name. He just
What? Really?
the Lake Fork guy.
Huh.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. That's actually what? Okay. Cool. I had no idea. Cuz well, I guess the other thing down there is like nothing freezes, so I'm sure it's easier cuz we've talked about
Oh
that I
yeah.
think already about how when it's warm, the fish they just get bigger. They just keep breeding. They just keep going. Like
They just keep
it's just
eating, yeah.
easier. Mhm. Uh I I hope that you know this cuz I don't. A fishing license from 12 to 16. Age is 12 to 16. It depends on your state. You don't need one till you're
Yeah.
12. You don't need to one till you're 16. I actually don't remember because I started fishing much later in life. So I just fished as a kid all the time free, right? Do you know what it
Yep.
is in Minnesota?
16.
It is 16.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
pretty
these states that are doing 12, but it's anywhere from 12 to 16 in
yeah,
the United States.
pretty positive on that one that you don't have to get a license until you're 16 year.
Mhm.
I could be wrong on that, but 12 just I don't know, man, that just seems crazy.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever needing one when I started fishing that I was like, "Hey, make sure I have my
Mhm.
fishing license with me." But like once you can drive, like you got your driver's license, you need your fishing license.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's the way that I remember it too. Even though at 16 I wasn't doing a ton of fishing, but still, that is
Yep.
kind of how I remember it too. Yeah. And I don't know the cost exactly. Um, and I don't know about other states, but I think the big thing, what we're about to get into, what we just talked about, is check your local regulations before you go out. That's the
Oh,
biggest
for
thing, right?
sure.
Like just find your DNR and just look it up, man. It's not that hard.
Yep. Yeah, 'cause like I said, I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure that's it, but I know the regulations on the stuff that matters to me. You know,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely not 16, so I need a license. My son is 2. He doesn't. That's
Right.
I
Right.
don't have to worry right
Exactly.
now.
um, and I'm curious. You may not know this because again, you would just establish your son as two. Because here, I always just buy a family license, right? Because just Sarah doesn't really fish, but if I throw a line out and she's got her pole with, oh, all right,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. She's gonna do it. So I buy a family license. It's like $50, under $50. It's just like
Yeah, it's like 40
between
something.
45. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little over 40, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we talked about the daily ones, and uh, do you know about the family one though? To get back to that, do you know when you're like when you're 16, right? You still need to get your own. It's not like you could all of a sudden. It's not like you, Shannon, and Beckett could all be on one family one, right? Or can you?
I don't know that. If you're,
Yeah,
I would assume that like if you're still living in the same household, you could do something
sure.
like
Like a
that. But
16-year-old kid, right?
yeah, yeah, but I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, that's something we're gonna have to find out because when I mean, we're both going to be dads here soon, and it's gonna have to be something where no, check your local regs. I'm gonna say it
Yeah.
again.
Well, I mean, you won't have to know it for a while. Like you'll be a dad,
Well,
but
yeah,
you're
we
not
won't.
gonna.
Yeah,
He's not gonna, or she's not gonna need one forever, and
right.
Beckett's
Yeah.
not gonna
Well,
need one
same with you.
forever
Beckett's
still. But
two. He's not gonna need one for a while. Yeah, but I mean, hey, it's stuff we should know. You know. Um,
yeah, for sure.
you said, and I don't remember if it's just a casual conversation or if we said it on the podcast. I don't know, but the point that I'm trying to get to here is stamps. I
Yeah.
mean I got into hunting specifically birds in like the early 2000s, and I learned a little bit, and I didn't hunt. I was brought into the culture, we'll say. And fishing stamps are kind of a new thing to me. Didn't you say you bought a stamp for something this year?
Yes, sir. I have a trout stamp because the quarries in St. Cloud are filled up with water. They're old granite quarries, um, and now they've been filled with water. And one of them you can swim in and stuff, but actually they put a kibosh on the swimming because the kids weren't following the guidelines. Everybody was getting too close to each other and stuff, so they're like, "No more swimming. You're all gonna get
Oh,
COVID
for
or some shit."
yeah, I was gonna say you mean because of the pandemic, not
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
oh,
Right,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
because of the pandemic, yeah. Yeah, no. But they're always buck wild out there. Like I get you're not supposed to fish in that one. We didn't know about that. We brought Sam up on uh, another podcast, but me and Sam went out there one day um to go fishing. We were just taking some casts at the swimming one and we didn't know it was just swimming. And we
Mm,
eventually got kicked out like, "Oh,
oops.
you can't be swimming here." And we're like, "Oh, you
Can't
still
be
have
fishing
me?"
here in the swimming one. Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
okay, good. My
I got you.
phone blacked out. I just popped it up like real quick, so
No,
um
we're still good.
but yeah,
So yeah, you
we
guys were casting and
we
you
eventually got
into the swimming
yeah,
one accidentally.
yeah. We, right, we eventually got kicked out, but we did get to see some boobies. We were sitting there fishing and both of us and like all of a sudden these two girls like decided to go crazy and they like yelled as they jumped off and they jumped off there's a cliff you can jump off and they did it topless and we're just like, "Hey, yeah, that happened today, I guess. Look at
Hey.
that."
Well, there's a story to tell.
Yeah, look at that. And then they're just like, "You can't be here because you can't fish," and we're just like, "Oh, all right. Well,
Well,
I guess we saw something, and now we'll get on our way and we'll go
which
to
is
the
a perfect example of like, well, things get a little buck out there,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
they shut her down for the pandemic.
yeah.
Yeah,
Things get a
makes
little
sense.
bit crazy. There's we're gonna have all these topless COVID victims flying around here. But yeah, no. So they stock some of them, and one of them they stock with trout, and trout are not around the St. Cloud area. Like that's the only place you
Really,
can catch them.
even with the river
Yeah,
and stuff, huh?
yeah. I don't know where you got to go on the river to get like.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of those rivers hold trout, but they're not in the St. Cloud area. Not as far as I know. but
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know
they
either.
stock them in the quarries. So
So
like
there
a
you go.
mile
Get a
away
trout
from my
stand.
house, yeah, a mile away from my house, I can go catch trout. I
Yeah.
haven't
That's
been
something
out
to.
there, and I have no idea how to catch trout, but I'll give it a go.
Oh yeah, I love that. You just like do that. You're just giving it a go, and that's what Real AFTV is trying to do too, man. Is just like
Yeah.
learn with us. We don't know everything. We're not pretending to know everything, and we're
Mm-mm.
not experts. We're just you're kind of good at this, and I'm learning, and it's learning. I love that you're just like "Well, I'll buy that stamp and I'll give it a go, and we'll probably
Give
put
it
it
a
on
shot.
Real AFTV.
Yeah, and if somebody else that knows more than you wants to give you some pointers and be like, "Hey, this is how it goes," or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm trying to do as far as
Right.
like when we start releasing the YouTube videos and stuff, it's like I just want to, as I'm showing you like trying to entertain people, just be like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is also
Mm-hmm.
how I'm doing it. I'd like you to have success too." But there's so
Mm-hmm.
many people out there that are also dicks that are the other way. Like you try something and they're just like, "That's not how you're gonna catch a fish." I literally one time was fishing out here on the lake and I came close and I was getting kind of close to shore and the one guy goes, "Eh, there's no fish over here, buddy." And just like,
Oh my God.
there are fish. Like, oh, you gotta go out farther. And the people that always tell you how to not not give you pointers on like, hey, here's how I've had success. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like
Or
you're
here's how I
dumb.
failed
What you're
even.
doing, yeah, you're dumb. What you're doing is dumb. Get out. Do what I tell you to do, or go suck an egg. And you're
Oh.
just like, no, what? No, I'm just. No. And then like the best is though when you catch a fish and you're just like, oh, no fish here, huh? Weird.
Hmm.
Wonder where
Weird.
this guy came from. Hmm.
Yeah.
But I hate people
Seriously.
like that, and that's one of my things. Like I just want people to know, like, fuck those guys. They those
Oh
people
yeah,
suck,
dude.
and they come
If
by
you're
the
one of those
dozens.
guys and you're on the Real AFTV community connections here on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, dude, fuck you. Get out of here. Don't care.
Yeah.
Listen to the
Or change your
podcast and you're
ways.
just like,
Yeah.
or
Or
listen
or
to
or
people.
yeah, or
Be
if
a
you've
human.
never heard anybody tell you this before, know now. You suck and nobody likes you. So change your ways or
And
or
come back again and
yeah,
join us in
yeah,
getting better at fishing. Just join us at getting better.
right. Give it a shot. There's no one right way. If there was a specific way to do it every single time and it caught fish every single time, then there would be no such thing as tournament fishing. There'd just be a bunch of
Right.
guys like fighting for one spot. Like, this is the
Right.
spot. We all need to
Yep.
be here. We need to use this lure. No, there's so many different ways to catch fish, and you never know what the right one is exactly. Like, what
Oh
works
yeah.
one day might not work the next day. The exact same thing that you did on one day might not even come close to working the next day. And that's just how fishing goes. But you still got those guys that are just like, nah, bro, orange doesn't catch fish on this lake. You can't use orange here. And you're just like, what?
That's right. And we definitely gave our opinions on that in the second episode. So if you haven't subscribed or liked or anything like that, go check out episode 2. Let's go. I want to we have to wrap this up. We got to wrap this up. We're already 40 some minutes into the first topic, but I got to say it. Give your local shop a spot. No, that's not how I'm trying to say that. Give your local shop a go. I don't know how many local shops you have up there. We have local shops down here, but
Yeah,
that is always the best place I've ever found. And even because they'll tell you stamps, like, hey, you don't want to go fishing for that fish because you need a stamp for it, right? Because in every state, it's going to be different.
right,
That's how the United States works. Um, and if you're going to get good advice, they're going to know. They have fishermen coming in there. They're listening, they're talking, they're also out there doing it. Hit up your local tackle shop and go buy your license from there even. And that's what I'm
right.
saying is like if you want the
Yep.
stamp, they could advise you on the stamp. they're good people. They got good bait. They got the good gear. Hit your local spot.
Yeah, and like you said, they a lot of times have knowledge. Like when you go in there and you ask them, like, "What's going on here? You know what can you do?" And they'll tell you. I mean, they might not be experts at everything. A lot of them are probably a lot of them that I've met are a lot of like species specific. Like
Oh, okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
fish walleye or whatever. There's one
Mm-hmm.
guy in
Mm-hmm.
St. Cloud that's like, you ask him, hey, you can I remember one time I was asking him about walleye or whatever, and he's like, I don't know nothing
Mm-hmm.
about that, but I can tell you about catfish. And you're just like, ooh, yeah,
Oh.
I don't know anything about catfish. Like, learn me something, buddy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's get
Mm-hmm.
let, let's have a rap
Damn.
session. Yeah, so
Right. Right. Right.
that's what he was about. He's just like, yep, nope, I got all this stuff. Like, I understand what people want, and I understand what they like to use,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I have the bait and stuff. But then when I go out, like, I just go on the Mississippi and I put my bait ball on the treble hook. Like he would just like smush bread
Damn.
around the treble hook and and then like
And like
toss it
that was
out
it.
there.
And wait
And
for the
he's just
cats to
like,
bite.
yeah, he's just like, and then you just wait for a while. And
See,
I have a
God,
feeling, yeah, I have a feeling that he probably had a little bit more than the pushing bread around that ball, but he's probably not going to tell me all his secrets. Because then
yeah,
I
not
won't have
right
it.
there on the
Oh
spot.
yeah, not if I want to go. Not if he wants to sell something from his shop.
Right, right.
If he just tells me like, I use a proprietary blend of salt water and bread, and I don't sell any of
Right,
that
right, right.
here. Go catch
Right.
catfish.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. But still, they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about, because I actually haven't run into people like that are like specific, but that is the reason to go to your local shop and talk to people and like get the local knowledge, because that is how you're going to catch fish. Like that's such a good way to start. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that you just have that experience.
Yep. Yeah.
I
It's
lo-
pretty cool, and I can't wait for to get to visit those places more, just because um
Mhm.
once I get a new boat here, then I plan on hitting a whole bunch more lakes, but
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot of different places I go to right now, but and plus with the COVID thing, like they're being weird. They're
Right. Yeah, of
they're
course.
trying to hold you back and not uh sorry, I there's a weird noise
That's
outside the
okay.
car. If anybody just to
No,
give a
no.
little bit of backstory, I'm up at the cabin at the lake right now, and I'm outside in the car recording, and there was like a high pitched noise outside of the door, and I don't know what it was. For me, for a second there, it sounded like like a cop siren, and that's
Whoa.
really fine at home. It happens all the time. I live in the middle of a city,
But
and then
tucked
it
back
hit.
in the woods like you are right
Yeah, then
now.
it hit me that I'm on a
Mm.
flooded out little part of this lake where the side of the noise I heard it coming from, there's not shit over there. I am
That's weird.
the last piece of civilization. Like there's nothing else. And it's completely
On
black
the
outside of
cutoff.
the car. Like I can't see anything, and I'm not turning on the headlights. I don't even want to know what's
I
out
don't even
there.
want to know. So if Tim all of a sudden cuts out and I just do the whole second half of the podcast, then
Right.
holy shit, we have a problem.
Yep.
Oh, what a good note to end on, man. Fuck it. We're 50 minutes into, or something like 50 minutes into the first half. Let's get into our random take, but everybody knows we gotta take a break before the random take.
Oh yeah.
Hit the beatbox.
I'm doing this just thinking, like, what if there was an alien outside?
Oh. Welcome back, friends and family of the internet, to the second half of the Real AF TV podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just look up Real AF TV. We usually come up. I've
Yeah,
checked it. But we're
with
at
two
Real
E's.
A. That's right. Real with two E's. AF TV is what you need to look up. And we are realaf.tv on the internet. Real with two E's. Check us out there. You can find everything. And random take number two, baseball cards, man. I believe
Yeah.
in our 20 some years of friendship, we have talked about baseball cards, something like that, because I have a hankering. You weren't a baseball card kid. You
I
were like a football card or something, weren't you?
Yeah, I
Something
was a
goofy.
sports car. Yeah, I had a couple
Oh,
baseball.
sports
Yeah,
card.
I had a couple baseball cards, but I didn't really know anything about baseball. Like baseball wasn't my sport. So when I was collecting cards, like every once in a while I'd have like a pack of baseball cards and I'm like flipping through them and I'm like, man, I don't know who any of these. Like, is this a good card? Who is this guy? I don't know any. So I'd have like the sports books, like that would have the pricing and stuff, so I'd still look through
The
them.
Beckett's.
Yeah, buddy, that's kind of why like I was pretty big into sports cars when I was a kid. So I didn't name my son after that book, but I did get the idea because I did used to look at the book and like tradition in my family, like the firstborn son gets the dad's or first name as his middle name.
Yep,
And
sure.
like when we're trying to come up with stuff, like I'm trying to figure out names and there's stuff that was kind of close to it, but like other people we knew had that name and we were like, they're too close to us to have a
Mm-hmm.
name,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't want to feel like we're copying them and stuff. And then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um
Things that go through your head when you're having a kid.
right, right. And then we kind of stumbled upon Beckett as a name. I'm like, what do you think about Beckett? And then like because it's my not just Tim but the full name, so he's Beckett Timothy, and we're like,
Timothy.
I
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like that. And Shannon's like, I like that too. So he's he's not named after it, but it was kind of
No.
inspired by it. It's like one of those movies that was like inspired by true events, but like only one little piece of it. Like
But yeah.
we basically went completely
But
left
the
field here.
location is the only thing that is inspired by it.
Right, right. This story is completely made up, but the
Right.
Titanic
But the
was a real
location's real.
boat.
Right, yeah, dude, dead on, exactly. But the Titanic was real. That's exactly what I was saying. Is like the location is actually a thing that existed.
Right.
But no, seriously, what like because you said you're like, well, you had baseball cards, right? And you didn't necessarily understand the people.
Right.
I was a only baseball kid. Very rarely did I come across any kind of other card. Huge into the Beckett's, huge into the thing, like the whole process. But I want to get back to like what what cards did you use then, and were you using Beckett's for those kinds? Because you said you're just a
Yeah.
sports cards. Like,
Yep.
explain that more. Because I, what does that mean?
Yeah. Well, like I liked basketball and I liked football,
Mm-hmm.
so I would have those. Um, I didn't really know anything about hockey, but for some
Mm-hmm.
reason that was kind of intriguing to me. Like I knew some
The
of
hockey
the
cards were intriguing
yeah,
to you,
yeah, like I knew some of the players and then I would get them. And those ones always kind of made me laugh too because like what the football players never take off their helmets and stand
right?
there and pose, and the
Mm-hmm.
basketball players will pose in their uniforms and stuff. But for some
Yep.
reason, the hockey players are like, "This is my full gear minus the helmet. Like, what's up?" And
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
just they had to show off that hockey hair, and I just
Yep.
laugh at them because they like some of them would be missing teeth and stuff. You just be like, look at this guy.
Seriously. Oh my god.
But no,
Oh.
I really liked basketball and football were the big ones. But I did have, like uh baseball cards too because I knew like Minnesota baseball and then I knew like the
Mhm.
famous people. So it was still exciting to me because that's the draw of it. I'm
Of the
assuming it is for
whole
you
get
too.
the
Like
whole get
when
up
you
of
yeah, when you
cards
get
is
it
that.
is
Yeah.
yeah, is to get one of those players that everybody knows, and then to get like
Yep.
an insert of that player, you're like, oh, and then you
Oh
got to get out
boy.
your Beckett and you got to scroll to like, oh, where's the U's upper deck? Oh, sweet. Okay, this is an
Yep.
insert.
Yep.
I gotta
Upper
find
deck.
this, and then you gotta
Yep.
flip over the card and you gotta find the F7 or whatever, and you're just like, this one's gonna
Yep.
be
Yep.
sweet, and they're like, it's worth
Yeah.
$4, and you go, really? $4? This thing looks way cooler than $4.
I know. Dude, they look so much cooler than they're worth 9
Yeah.
times out of 10.
Well, and it's all because of like the release. Like,
Mhm.
I'm trying not to say like so much. I keep catching myself doing it. But uh uh
I don't notice.
it when you get the upper decks and all them, I don't know why it's singled out upper decks, but when you get those inserts, the ones that are worth more money are those ones that are stamped like 0 1 4 out of
Yeah, they have a different.
300 or whatever, and
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
you're like, okay, there's only 300 of these made. I have the 14th one. Like that's why this is worth a little bit more
Right.
because
Yep.
there's not that many of this card. Where
Yeah.
those other ones are super cool looking. What happened with those is the card manufacturer was just, these are so cool. We need to mass produce these. Everybody
Yep.
needs to see them. All their friends are
Mhm.
gonna be just like, "Have you seen these cards?"
Oh my
And
god. You should go
everybody
buy some
just,
tops.
yeah. Like I remember how cool some of those old cards were. There, I
Mhm.
honestly feel like we grew up too in the heyday of sports cards because there was
Dude, I'm thinking that myself. That's exactly
yeah,
why that was the one of 2 reasons why I wanted to bring this up is I really do think that as well.
yeah, because there's manufacturers out there now that make
Mhm.
cards, but it's
Mhm.
almost like they target an older audience. Like they're
Mm.
only going for the collectors. They're just
Oh.
basically going at this market of,
People who
you
have
know,
money to spend
yeah, people
a
have money.
lot
Here's
on these
here's a
things.
rare, yeah, here's more rare stuff. Here's harder stuff to come by. You get less cards, but they're a little
And
bit
these are
more
new?
rare. Yeah, I mean that's what it
Ooh.
seemed like.
Mhm. Mhm.
I haven't really been buying cards in a while, but I know too,
No, me neither.
one thing is that they have like contracts now. And
What?
I can't remember who it was. I want to say it's like Panini or something, but like
Mhm.
football,
Mhm.
I deliver to two different card places, different sport
Oh, shit.
memorabilia places. And the one
Dope.
guy, when I was bringing it to him, he was opening it up and he's like, Panini, oh, probably football. And I was just like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, because the time. And he's like, no, because Panini is the
Has
only
like
one
the
that makes,
NFL
yeah, they're the only
account?
ones that make the football. Yeah. And I'm like, really? Because there was,
Huh.
everybody made everything when we were kids. I
Right, right,
remember there
right. Yeah,
was
tops
there yeah, you
and
had tops and upper deck
upper
and
deck and
there
yeah,
was
they made everything. It didn't
prestige and
matter.
flair and or fleer and
Yeah. Fleer. Yep, it was Fleer. Yep.
yeah, and there was a couple other ones too. I can't remember all of them, but
No, those
yeah.
are the you just named all the big ones that I can recall.
Yeah. there was some
And
other.
they did every sport. It seems like every single one did
Yeah,
every sport. Yeah.
basketball, like basketball had a bunch of smaller um weird ones.
Like
NBA
companies?
there was NBA hoops and skybox
Hey, I
and
remember
like
Skybox actually.
yeah,
Nah, it could
and
just be a familiar word, but I
and then
think
they
I
s-
remember
and
Skybox.
then they started having like the different spin-offs of stuff. There was the Fleer Metal, and they
Oh my
were,
god, the metal cards were the
dude, they were so
best.
dope. They were all shiny, like every one was
They
shiny.
were literally printed on metal, dude. I have a
Yeah,
couple baseball cards, but that's okay. You keep going with your story.
yeah. I have a nuts and bolts Jordan. Like it's a special insert
Oh
that it's
shit! And
all
Jordan's so
nuts
hot
and
right now with that new
bolts.
documentary. Woo!
Yeah, it's probably not worth much because not
I
that
know, mass produced, right?
right. I think I have a KG Fleer Metal rookie card though. I have some pretty sweet
Fuck
cards.
yeah,
I have a
nice.
I have a rookie Troy Aikman. Oh, dude, here's a funny
What?
story. I lucked out hard. Just knowing my uh different players' years and stuff. I'm not like a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sports nuts guru, but I know a little bit, and I went into me and Shannon like 10 years ago. No, it had to have been like 15 years ago now. Went into this little strip mall inside of the like right next to the Old Country Buffet when the Old Country Buffet was still there.
When
And
OCB was still a thing,
yeah, and it's this
they all
weird little
dead now.
strip mall. Huh?
Oh, OCB, they all dead now. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
R.I.P.
yeah.
OCB.
Yep. Should have tried to make better quality food, not just a bunch of horse shit. They're just they're just like, ah, yeah, it sucks, but if we make a bunch of it, they'll still come. And
Just go
eventually, people
buy
are
it.
just like, no, dude, a bunch of shit is still shit, bud.
Still
Like,
shit.
you gotta you gotta try. But
Seriously.
the only
So
part
okay,
that
you're going to
anybody
the
looked
strip mall.
forward to was the dessert, or that
Oh
you just
right,
hadn't
yeah.
been there for a
Just tons of
while. You're
sugar.
just like, oh, OCB, like that sounds like it hit the spot. You're like two plates in, just stuffed to the max for some reason because you ate way more
Yep,
than you should have.
because you
But
ate
you're
way
looking at
more.
each other like, I don't understand why we
I
came
don't
back
feel
here.
satisfied.
Yeah,
Why don't I feel
eventually,
satisfied?
yeah,
I'm full as
eventually,
fuck and I feel
right,
no
right.
satisfaction.
Eventually, people got over that where they're just like, every time we go there and we regret it after we leave.
Disappointment.
Eventually, it got to a point where everybody's like, yes, we're just disappointed with this and we don't want to do it anymore. But
Oh my
right
god.
next to
Okay.
that place was this
Hmm.
little like a Catholic store. It was like that's all it was. Like we sell crosses and first communion stuff and confirmation stuff, and you're just like, this is a store, huh? Like you can afford to be in business selling just this. But it existed, and we had to
Hmm.
go in there for something. I can't remember. It was like some like a niece's first communion or something. I don't remember
Okay.
offhand what it would have
Yep.
been if it was 15 years ago. Now I'm thinking about it, it wouldn't have been a niece's first communion. It doesn't matter. But we were
Yeah, I
in
was gonna
there.
say, but it doesn't matter. You had to go
Yeah,
to the Catholic store.
yeah, we were in
Okay.
there for whatever Shannon needed to get, and they had a box of old cards. And I'm looking at it, and they're
What
like sealed
the?
cards, and they're selling them for like $4 a pack, which is a
Just trying to
little
get
bit,
money to the church.
yeah, a little bit expensive for what they would have been initially, but they're also a
Yeah.
little bit of collector's items. And I'm
Yeah, they're kind of old,
thinking,
right?
yeah,
They had a
yeah,
little
yeah,
age to them.
yeah. So I'm thinking about it too, and I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty sure this is Brett Favre's rookie year.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude. So I picked up like 3 packs, and I pulled a Brett Favre rookie card.
What the fuck, dude? Are you
Yeah, dude.
serious?
I pulled a Brett Favre rookie card for $6 because
What the
I think
shit?
that's what I said $4. I think
What?
they might have it might have been $2 they were selling those packs
Two
for. It
dollars
doesn't
and then the
matter.
246.
It
Yeah,
was
no,
it
because
was
like
six
they used to cost
dollars
99
or
cents back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Oh,
like whatever it was, I got it for a steal. Like, and
oh
that was
my
one of the most
god.
exciting things ever. Because when you open those pack of
Oh my
cards and you
god.
get a dope card, you're like, yes. But when you open a pack of cards from a long time ago that you already know is valuable, you're just like,
Right.
oh, I got the
Oh
Brett Favre
my.
rookie.
It's like catching a giant fucking walleye.
Right. Just
Adrenaline.
look at this fish. Just you
Oh
open the
my
pack.
god.
I just picture like opening the pack of cards right in the middle of of this church store and just screaming, "Look at this fish!" When you pull the Brett Favre rookie. Everybody's like, "What's going on here?"
What is that guy? Did he say just look at this fish? What
You
is he
say, "Look at
talking
this
about?
fish!"
Is he trying to
Like,
be Jesus? Like turning just like, oh, here's a bunch of fish.
look at
What is it?
this
What is this guy?
fish.
Does he think he just turned that card into what is happening?
Right. Is this supposed to be like some conjuring thing where he's just yelling, "Look at this fish," and he thinks that it's gonna turn into a fish? Because he's not
Right.
doing it. You're not Jesus, bud. You didn't pull it off.
It's not working for you. Oh my god, dude, that's crazy. I can't believe I don't recall ever seeing that card before. We've probably
Mm.
been drunk and you've probably showed me and I just don't remember it, but now I just want to see it.
Yeah, I have two of them. Like, that
What? How
one,
the
that
hell did you
one's
get two?
well, that one's Upper Deck, and I have another rookie card of a different brand. I can't remember what it is, but the they're kind of cool because he was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, so both of them are like
Holy
him in a
crap. No
Falcons
way.
jerseys. Yeah, so you only
What?
get that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you only get that 1 year of Atlanta Falcon, and
Oh my god.
there's one that's worth a shit ton more. I don't have it, but there's one that's worth a bunch more because they spelt his name wrong. They spelt it how it sounds
No.
and not how it's supposed
Bar.
like how he spells it. Yeah.
So like the
They
E's not on there or something?
no, it's just spelt Favre because like um how his name is spelt, it looks like Favre, but you
Yeah.
pronounce it Favre,
Uh-huh.
and
Yep.
they spelt it Favre, like F A
Farve.
R V E. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's
Yeah.
crazy, dude.
Yeah, and
I
it's
love
literally
stuff
like
like
a
that.
10 time, yeah, it's literally like 10 times difference. Like the regular card is worth like 40 and the
Yeah.
screwed up one is like 400.
$400. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, as a graphic designer who has sent stuff to the printer with the wrong shit on it,
Yeah.
you feel like such an asshole. But the best part about this is there's, 200 kids that get drafted into the NFL every year, and I'm making up a number. I don't know. If you know, correct me right now.
It's not too far off from that. I don't know exactly what
But
it is, but yeah, it's like
there's
250 or
two
something.
yeah, there's like 200 kids that go into the NFL every year. They just get drafted in. What are the chances the one card you screwed up as the graphic designer is really going to be like one of the greatest players of all times? It's like a fucking
Right.
0% chance. It's like a
Yeah.
0.001% chance that that's ever going to happen.
I also like to think about like does that guy have the
Listen to
wherewithal?
fishing podcast and he needs to contact
No.
us so we can talk to him. Hey,
Yes.
fellow graphic designer, fucking get a hold of me. I'm at Josh LaBaw on Twitter. DM me, bro.
Right. No, that's not what I was thinking. But what I was thinking was, did that guy have the wherewithal for like the conversation to just like the boss comes in and like, Johnson, are you shitting me? You couldn't check what the spelling was. It's his name is spelled like this. You just guessed, like you just put down Favre, and then the guy that's getting yelled at just like turns to the boss and just goes, collector's item with a shrug, and they just go, and they just go, God damn it. Yeah, you're right. Fine, whatever. This is gonna
Fine,
be the most
Johnson.
sought after Favre. Like your blunder is gonna make people know about the upper deck card more than the what's it. And it's true. I remember that it's an upper deck card and not the other
brand,
some
whatever the other brand is at
yeah,
this
the other
point,
one's
right?
like some sort of a Pro Set. That's what it's called. Pro Set. I have a Pro
Oh
Set
shit,
one.
see? I don't
Yep.
even know them.
Pro Set
I don't
wasn't
know if
that
they
big,
did they
but
do
it
baseball?
existed. Did you say paintball?
No, baseball. Did they do
Oh yeah,
baseball?
I
Yeah,
don't
were they
know.
big into the old
thought
paintball scene?
thought you were like, did they do paintball? I'm like, maybe. Like, what did you run into one of their squads? That's the Pro Set paintball squad.
The pro
No,
set paintball squad.
yeah, you graphic artists are all like, just
Which is a
play.
big
You
paintball
you just
community
all
inside
had
the
different right.
graphic designer community.
Just after everything's over, you just all get around each other. What do you make? I make sports cards. What do you make? I print decals on fishing lures. Just you're all.
Yep.
It's all the
Mhm.
same. It's all the same
I
job.
design magazine layouts, and
Yeah.
they're all just repping their brand.
Yep. All the same job. Everything's a little bit different. And then because we're all the same person, we all play paintball. I
But no,
forgot.
seriously, pro set, right? Like,
Pro
isn't that what
set.
you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did they do baseball cards? Because I've never
I
heard that
don't
name.
I don't know if they do baseball cards. I know that they definitely try to do some weird stuff on Adventure, like because I had a box set of pro sets and I'm scrolling through all the pro sets, looking through all these different I think my aunt got them for me for
Hmm.
something, but I'm like opening these up and I'm like going through all the baseball card or the football cards like, okay, I know these guys. I know these guys. Like that's a rookie. Okay, maybe that'll be worth something someday. And then every once in a while I'd come to a card and I'd just be like, what the hell helmet is that? And then I look closer
What?
and it's a Canadian Football League card and I'm like, Canadian League? What the hell is they putting Canadian leagues? It's like the stupid ass cards. Some of the basketball cards. Every once in a while, you'd be scrolling through, and they'd have like a card of just Christy Brinkley, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? You're just like, I'm trying to get like a Shaq rookie card, and you just throw Christy Brinkley in here. Like, is this ever gonna be worth anything? Like one weird old creeper that's just like, I gotta have the Christy Brinkley upper deck card.
For that Canadian league.
It's a Canadian League.
Uh,
Nobody's gonna
oh my
collect
god.
that ever.
No, not even
You know,
Canadians connect that because they
no,
just play hockey.
you know the one guy trying to find that card. The-
Yeah,
it's
please.
it's his son.
It's his son.
Dad had a card that existed one time. They, I can't find it anywhere. Or he's not looking for it either because they gave him like the full
A
set of like
thousand of them.
3,000,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that they printed out because there's like nobody's ever gonna buy this shit.
Nobody wants this.
Have all these cards of your dad, hand them out to your friends.
Oh, I just put out a tweet this week that says, "Oh, I started following the CFL. I thought it was going to be the Canadian Fishing League. Turns out Canada has football." Like, dude,
Yeah, that was good. I saw that.
I thought that
I
was great. I
I
mean,
started laughing because I knew, like, right when you started, right when I started reading it, I was like, oh, I bet I know where this is going because I know,
yes, yes,
because
yes.
I
Because
knew
we have
that the
similar sense of humor.
yeah, yeah, and I knew that the CFL was a thing and that it was a Canadian Football League and not a fishing league because like, I know all the different fishing leagues and I know that that's a
Oh,
Canadian
sure,
Football
sure.
League as well. So like the both together, where I'm just like, oh, I bet I know where this is going, and it was just that like split second thought as I was reading that tiny tweet and just like that's pretty good. And I told Shannon about it too,
Yes,
and she's
yes,
like, "That's funny."
yes. It's
Yeah,
totally like a troll, but it's like a fucking humble troll. Come on.
right. And really, who cares? We're trolling the Canadian Football League. Like,
That just sounds funny.
right? should just be followed with of course. Of course. Like who's not? That's the only thing.
Who's not?
That's the Canadian Football League Twitter is that's all it is. It's
That's all it is.
just them battling trolls all
Trolls.
day. That's just like speaking of trolls.
Uh,
Did you? I didn't get a chance to look at all the videos, but um, apparently the Minnesota Vikings, Sam had sent us both that um deal
oh
with
yeah, the ones about Cousins.
yeah, Cousins where
And
they
they
put up
said like the Vikings Twitter or TikTok or whatever it is put up the like show us catching passes and they
yeah,
just put like split screen or whatever.
yeah, yeah, they put a split screen of Cousins in practice doing his like three-step drop and then running to the side or whatever and hucking the football. And then the split screen is supposed to be you catching it. And they're like, oh, show us you catching passes from Cousins. And like every video is people just watching the ball fly like 30 feet over their head.
Over their head, yeah.
It's just like, oh,
Which
yeah,
as
that's
Vikings
perfect.
fans is hard. It's hard to watch, but you can only laugh. I mean, Jesus, you
It's
just
not
felt
even
like
hard. We are
it,
like it's Vikings fans that are
it's not
doing it.
hard, yeah.
All of
Right.
us here are just like, yep, that's what our
Yep.
team's like.
Yep. Yep.
I think Cousins is better than that. They're not giving him enough credit, but
No, I
yeah,
agree. I
definitely,
agree.
it's still funny. Screw
It's
it,
still
make
funny.
fun of him.
So who yep, yep. It's still funny. And if they take it the wrong way, then too bad. It's fucking funny, dude. That's what
Right?
it's supposed to be.
Yep.
All right. Well, I didn't collect any other sports cards. I just collect baseball cards. So that's it. I mean, we're done with that and we're coming up
I
on
mean,
an hour and a half as we do.
yeah,
But
the Pokemon cards too. Like I
I
never
actually just went
collected
yeah, I was that's what I was just gonna kind of go into is like so I was just going through the other part of the reason why I brought this up was well sports are opening up again right now and that's why I wanted to do this but the other part is uh, that I just went through some of my old stuff as I'm trying to get the room ready for the kid and I got to start packing stuff into tighter boxes and smaller spaces and I got all my collector stuff and I was looking through my old baseball cards I'm like oh damn I got some dope stuff. I had baseball cards that were stickers. So it's like the baseball
Oh
player
yeah,
and then yeah, and those were cool, but I only have baseball stuff. I literally did nothing else, which is weird because I've always been a hockey kid, but man, we just never did anything other than baseball cards. It's weird for me to think about. And of course, the Beckett's were huge. We used to always go down to our local spot, which we actually had a local spot. It was like a baseball memorabilia slash bike shop, which is a weird combo. But the '90s were
right.
weird.
Yeah,
Did you have a local spot like Glencoe's small?
yeah, dude. Snyder's drugs.
Oh,
Snyder,
sure, the
yeah,
pharmacy.
the
Yeah, we
pharmacy.
used to hit the pharmacy too. We used to hit the
Yeah,
pharmacy too. I forgot about that.
I used to go down there and I would get the trading cards for a while, and then Pogs were big for a while. I'd get the Pogs,
Oh,
and then
Pogs,
I was back.
dude.
Yeah, then I was back to the trading cards. Like there was even at a young age, there was something in me that like initially when we were getting the Pogs, I was like, these could be collector items, and I was always about those poisons, trying to get those poisons, and some of them are
Oh yeah,
shinies, and you're just like,
oh yeah.
oh, these are cool. And then like one day I'm just looking at them like these are fucking garbage. They're never gonna be worth anything. And I'm like,
Like Beanie Babies.
yeah, I'm just done with this. Like I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm just gonna go back to collecting sports cards. I turned my old pog holder into a bong. I just
They were perfectly shaped for that.
oh, so perfectly shaped. That's a story for another time, but yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure.
that's that's what happened to that. But yeah, the sports card, that's where I would go. Is down to That
just
or
down the old
Dubers.
pharmacy.
Yeah, Dubers was right
Oh,
next door.
Dubers, that's right,
Yeah,
dude, in Waconia, we had a Dubers too, I forgot. Freaking
Dubers.
Dubers.
Hmm.
Oh my god, that's a good name.
But sports cars were everywhere back then, man. Dubers was sweet, but you could go like the grocery store had them. They'd have
Oh
them
my
just
god.
they just have them in the aisles, like how they have candy bars nowadays. In
Oh,
every
they
single aisle, they
did.
would just have sports cards.
They were just, like, hanging there in between the fucking
Yeah,
granola bars.
yeah. It was so much
You could
more
just get a
popular
pack.
back then. Yeah, it was so much more popular back then. It was just like the candy bars. Like you just get them, put them in the aisle. They're gonna get bought. You just wait,
Yeah,
give it some time. Somebody's gonna buy them.
yeah, they were, like, 99 cents for a pack. You just toss it in, like, "Huh, who knows what could be
Yep.
inside?"
Yeah, and even as popular as Pokemon cards are today, like
I can't
uh
believe Pokemon cards are still as popular as they are, dude. It's
yeah,
insane. Like,
they're
they
a
came
lot
out, they were,
cooler
like,
than
the
they
hot
used to be.
shit, and they just still are on this, like, rise.
Yeah.
It's insane.
The inserts they have, like the EX cards are so much cooler than the
Oh
old
my god.
cards. They're so cool. The
They are so
Japanese,
cool.
like, I don't collect Pokemon cards, but I still really enjoy opening the packs up with my nephew because when you
Yeah.
get an EX, you're like, "Oh my God, look at
Oh
how
my
cool looking
god.
that thing is."
It looks so
Like,
good.
that's one's got a bunch of like 3D block letters that are spelt in Japanese. You're like, I don't know what any of this is,
Dude,
but it looks sweet.
seriously. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I actually when I was going through my baseball cards, because that's all I have. All I've ever had are baseball cards. I had a Japanese Snorlax card from, like, the '90s. I just remember this kid
Oh,
who yeah, dude, this kid, I met him, like, one time, and he was
yeah,
just one of these kids who grew up with money, and he had a couple of them. And I was like, "I don't even play Pokemon, really. You're you know, we play the shit out of Pokemon Go, so that's a thing, but, my wife and you are much more Pokemon people. You get them.
yeah,
You get them way more than I do. You watch the cartoons and stuff like that." Um, but I was always super, super into the monsters themselves, I guess, like the pocket monsters.
yeah,
Is that even canon anymore? Can you say pocket monster?
yeah,
Um,
dude. That's what they are. That's what
that's what
Pokemon's
it
show for. Pocket
right.
Monster.
So I always loved the art style. I always loved the idea, and Snorlax has always been my favorite. I fucking love that guy. Glutton, sleepy. Let's do it.
Mhm.
And this kid had like two of them, and they were in Japanese. And when I saw that in the late '90s, I was just like, "Oh my god!" And even though he was younger than me by like 3 or 4 years, this kid's like barely
Yeah,
a teenager. I'm an older teenager, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I love that card. That is so awesome!"
right.
He just must have seen the energy, and he was like, "You want it?" I was like, "What?
That's
No,
so
I don't want
dope,
I don't want your Japanese card. I don't even know how you got that." And I think he said his dad got it from Japan. I don't know, but he was one of those kids that just like had money,
dude.
was like
You should
whatever,
look.
and he just
Yeah.
handed me this card. I was like, "Holy shit! Yeah, fuck yeah!" And it's seriously a Japanese Snorlax card and
Have you looked into
Pokemon
it? It
card.
might be worth something.
No, that's the thing is I haven't. I looked into Beckett Online now, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because our
Yep.
magazine's even a real thing. It's a subscription. I remember having to buy Beckett's, but I don't remember them being
Mhm.
a subscription. And now, of course, it's a subscription. And I don't know where to go to look for Pokemon cards, but
Dude, Beckett's are so in depth that you would have like individual sports too.
oh,
I got
oh,
the
100%.
I
The
got
one that
the I
we
got
would
the
always get
football
from the
Beckett.
local shop. Yep.
Yep.
We'd have to buy the baseball specific one, and it was still super thick.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing about it too, because they'd have cheaper knockoff brand ones that would have everything together,
What?
and you're just yeah, there was ones that weren't Beckett. They were just like sports trading card price magazine, or, super generic
That
title.
generic fucking name.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the worst
and,
generic name you've ever
yeah,
heard of.
and it's like a little bit thicker than one of the sports Beckett's, but it has all of the sports in it.
Oh,
And I
yeah, okay.
remember comparing them, and you're just like, yeah, the prices are. You're just like one of those weird little kid nerds. To-
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I see it with my nephew now, like not trying to be a jerk to him, but you just telling people stuff that you think is important that nobody cares. Look at the difference between
Mhm,
Super Happy Sports Card magazine and Beckett. They're
mhm,
not
mhm.
quite the same price. I have a
Right,
card and
right.
it says there's a 50-cent difference, and they're just
Yep, yep.
cool. Who cares, kid? Get out of here.
Kids, that's kids though. That's totally kids. Is because you just have this hyper focus, and it's like you're so lucky to have a hyper focus.
Right. Just it's the only thing I care about right now. I remember that too. You'd
Right,
spend,
right.
and then like I remember making stupid ass spreadsheets where like you think back on it now and you're like,
Damn.
what for? You're just like writing down all your cards, like my favorite cards, and like this one, and then you're like circling the ones that are worth more. Like I didn't really like this one, but it's worth a lot.
But it's
And then
worth a
you're,
lot. Yep.
and then you. I remember like having some of the cards where you put it down and you like circle it with a question mark. Like
Oh, damn it. I lost you again.
here I am. God
Yep,
damn
you're
it.
back.
Yeah, I should just. Well, we should probably wrap it up pretty soon, anyways. But I should really change that. I should have done it a long time ago. I was gonna say there's a little insight into who I am as a person. I'm dumb. And stupid,
You're not.
stupid shit like that. Not dumb, but just like super easily fixable stuff. And I'm just like, nah, we'll just
Yeah,
we'll just roll with it. It'll be fine. And like
yep, yep.
seven cutouts later, I'm still like, ah, shit. This is. I probably should have done something about
Should
this,
have
huh?
should have fixed it the first or second time.
Yeah, I probably should have. Well, I'm just a
Uh,
fucking idiot, still scared to turn on my headlights.
Fucking aliens out there, man.
Oh,
But
they're
no,
everywhere.
seriously.
I'm sure.
No, but seriously, you were saying like you circle the ones like because you're talking about circling in the Beckett, right?
No, I'm talking about like having a notebook, writing down
Oh,
stuff next to it. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like making a stupid
the
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet in the notebook. Yeah.
I'm just writing down these handwritten things, like listing off all these different names, writing down the number of the card and like the
Oh
price,
yeah.
and like these are
Mhm.
things I had. And and then like what was I ever gonna do with that information? Nothing. I'm gonna look through my cards again and get the same information I had before. Instead of looking at this stupid spreadsheet, you just make that spreadsheet and then you just be like, "Oh yeah, I remember. That's did a lot of work that day for
Did a lot of
what the fuck
I
for? I don't know."
I had the books, the hardcover, like 3-ring binders, and would organize the baseball cards in there.
Oh yeah,
So it'd
dude.
be like
For
every
sure.
player, and it was like, oh, this tops card, and then it'd be the Fleer card. That one is worth they're worth about the same amount, but then you'd put the Fleer metal card in front of it because it was where the fuck are they now? I have no idea. I have
Right.
no clue where all those are, but I had like 10 books full of them.
Yeah, did you ever put your dope cards like in the middle? You'd have, like I had the same
Oh.
things, and you had a card on one side and a card on the other, like because it's pages. So you'd see your card and you'd flip it, and then you'd see the
Mm.
front of the other card because they were back to
Mhm.
back. But I'd
Mhm.
put my dope ones in between there. For some
To
reason,
hide
like
them. To
I
hide
gotta
them.
hide. Yeah, I gotta hide my super cool card. Like if somebody wanted to steal it, like they're not just gonna take the whole damn binder. But
Right, but they'll take one single card.
yeah, I used to do that too with some of the. I had a couple plaques on the wall. Like I know I had a Kirby Puckett one where there
Mhm.
was like a generic score Kirby Puckett card in it, and then I had
Yep.
another one that was Joe Montana,
Yep.
and I had a super cool Joe Montana insert that had like a bunch of it was like a metallic-y black one with a bunch of colorful footballs
Oh,
behind
damn.
him. I hid
Mhm.
that behind the generic score, and I hid a Topps Black Gold
Oh,
Kirby
shit. You
Puckett
got a black
behind.
gold. Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
a Kirby Puckett, and I hid that behind the other one. And now I think
Nice.
back on it, like it was cool to hide this stuff, but now I think back on it, like why? Didn't I show off my cool
You should
cards?
have showed it off,
Yeah,
exactly.
I have these cool plaques, and
Yeah.
instead I'm just like, hey everybody, look at this lame ass scorecard that I have
Mhm.
with a plaque that says Kirby Puckett's name on it. I should have
Yeah,
showed
no,
off the
I
cool
actually
shit. But I did.
going
I still did a lot. I
you
I
still
still
showed them
not.
off?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry to cut you
Okay.
off there, but it'd
No, no,
still
no.
be like people would come over. It was completely pointless that I had them hidden because I'm like, look at this, and then you take it down and show them the
You
secret
take it
hiding
out.
spot.
Yes. Oh, I would so I had those plaques too, and I would actually swap out the cards when I'd get the good ones because 'cause you'd buy them and they would just have the generic ass card in it. Frank Thomas was my boy,
Oh
um,
yeah,
and so, yeah, I was collecting the Frank Thomas gear, and I would swap them out when I got a good Frank Thomas card, and, um, I was going through my cards, and now that we're having this conversation, I was like, "Oh, you know what? I used to hide my good ones too." Because those single sleeves where you
yep,
would get, like, the plastic sleeve and you'd slide the card in it?
yep.
Yeah, so I would take that, I'd put all my good cards in those, and then I would stick them in my underwear drawer where I just assumed nobody was looking.
Right, right.
And then but, I mean, I had my few plaques on the walls too, and I would actually cycle those out, but I would never put I had a Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire one, and
Ooh,
I have a Mark McGwire Topps metal card, I think. I think it's Topps, I can't remember. It could be anyways, I never put that metal Mark McGwire in there, and I should have because that is a really sweet looking card. I just
yeah.
never did it, and I don't know why, but that one hid in my underwear drawer. It's like, kids are so weird.
Yeah, dude. I know it's crazy. Speaking of those guys, so no, I had at one point in time, uh, Frank Thomas and Mike Piazza rookie card, and I don't know where either of them went.
Oh my god, those were my 2 dudes, dude.
Yeah,
Those were my 2 dudes. I mean, other than Nolan Ryan, which you could never get, and Randy Johnson, you could never get. I was a pitcher and I love pitching, but I never found those, of course. But shit, those are my boys right there.
yep,
Oh, you had the rookies, huh?
yep. I had the rookies. Yeah, because I remember whatever it was like the tops one or whatever. The
Mhm.
rookie, um, it wasn't for Thomas. That was a different company, but the rookie
Mm,
one
mhm.
for Piazza, it had
Mhm.
like a little trophy in the corner that said rookie.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah, I
shit.
remember it
Okay.
very specifically, and I
Yeah.
can't find that card for the life of me. I've gone through all my cards.
Damn.
I knew I had it, and I just
That
can't find it.
sucks. Yeah, I still got a good decent collection of his. I remember his Game Face one. Did you ever get the Game Face cards?
Mm, were
Those so
those?
I think it was Tops that did it. It could have been Score. Is that what it was called? Score?
Yeah,
God, I
scores
don't know.
a brand.
Yeah, so they would buy the photos from the photographers of like mid swing, or
Oh
like
yeah,
they would take, like bam, strike three, and then they're just like clinching their bat and they make a shitty face and they would
yeah.
catch them in that moment because the photographers are just going and they started to grab these photos that's like in between photos, the ones that weren't looking so athletic, and they had these goofy faces on, and they called them the game face cards. I have a Mike Piazza game face card, dude. They're the
Dude,
best.
that's dope. I
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever saw those, but when you were talking about those, I do remember that I had some weird football ones. I think they were made by Upper Deck, where the cards were a little bit thicker and they were like chrome colored. They weren't metal, but they looked like they
Mhm.
were metal, and it
Mhm.
was like a what's the word? Not a silhouette, a profile, like a
Mm,
profile of
yeah.
like this dude's face, like almost, and
Okay.
and they were 3D. It was like raised, like
And
actual,
it's
and it was like raised.
metal?
Well, no, it looked like it was metal. It was weird. It was like a card. and it was stamped like with like metal flake or whatever you would call to make it look like metal, but it wasn't
Oh yeah,
metal.
okay.
Like
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
have
okay.
easily bent it, and then it was their face that was actually like protruded out of the
Holy
card, and it
crap.
yeah, and they were just weird.
That is weird.
And football's one of those too where unless they're really famous down the road, then you start to learn what their face looks like. But a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
don't get
times
to
you
see
don't
their
know.
face behind that big old
Yeah,
helmet.
I saw that with like fantasy football when I was looking through. One of the guys tried to send a message about a bunch of guys like my team is stacked, and all he did was put out a bunch of pictures of their faces, and I'm just
And you're
like,
like,
I
who the hell are these people?
literally don't know who I'm looking at. Like, is your team stacked? I don't I don't know. Can you give me their names, please?
Or their number or their team or something. I literally have no idea what they look
Right.
like.
I do not know these people based off of their face.
And nobody knows who we are based off our faces either, because I assume they're just listening to the podcast. We need to get some videos up. That's not a good note to end on, but who cares? I'm gonna do it anyway.
Hey, but here is a good note to end on. We do have Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and the Instagram for sure has pictures of both of us. And
That's
Sam is on
right.
there holding a big old bass, and I put a picture of my son on there. And
That's right.
I'm thinking like if you want to DM us, you could probably get a couple dick pics. Not like what you're thinking. I
We're
like
not
I
gonna send them to you. We
Yeah.
don't.
Well, no, I'll send them to you, but not the kind of dick pic that you're thinking. Like if you DM me and you're like dick pic, please, I will send you back a photo of Richard Nixon. Which one?
So
Who
follow
knows?
us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Real AF TV. Seriously, I'm pretty sure we just show up with Real AF TV. But if you really want to get into it, we're at Real AF TV on Facebook. We're at Real TV on Instagram because they allow the dots, but Twitter don't allow the dots. So we had to go with Real AF underscore TV.
Yup.
But look for us. Give us the follow and all that fun shit. Oh, and the podcast, dude, we are fully up on Apple Podcast, Google
Yup.
Podcast, and
Uh-huh.
Spotify, though the
Woo.
feeds they don't seem to be operating totally in sync. Hopefully, as we get more episodes up, that will actually happen. So, if you're listening to this on Monday, that's when they're supposed to come out. Every other Monday, we're gonna release some here more frequently in August,
Yeah.
and
Give you
yeah,
some
so check us out.
give give y'all a couple boners.
All
That's
right,
it.
man.
Hey, oh, on that
What?
note, I gotta tell you real quick because
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna come up again when joking around about it. I call bonuses boners sometimes because I used to call them boners before I knew what they were, and it did not it did not hit me until my uncle was so my parents had a camper at a campground, and at that place they had bank shot basketball. So there's all these different hoop setups. Each one had like a different angled backboard or whatever, and they had these spots that you had to stand on, and you would shoot the basketball from these different squares. And the farthest square back, if you could make it, you got a bonus point. So I would always stand on the farthest square back. I'd drain the shot, and then I'd say, "Yeah, got the boner." And then and my dad never told me that that was weird. And then my uncle and then my uncle was there one time, and I drained the shot and I said it, and I saw his head snap over and look at me, and he just and he looks at my dad and he goes, "What did he say?" And my dad just kind of like shook his head, no, like, no, don't tell him. And
Like, no, no,
and
no,
that's
no.
the and that's the day where I'm just like, okay, what does that mean? What
What
have
does
I
boner
what
mean?
what is boner? What is a boner? And And I don't remember how I figured it out, but I'm like, oh, should probably stop saying that.
Ah, all right. Well, I guess we can consider this a boner episode of Real AF TV
Yeah,
podcast
come
because
get
it
your
is
boners.
dropping on an off week. We'll be back at it again next week. Follow the feeds. This has been the Real AF TV podcast where we talk about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody out there.
Thank you,
It's a wrap.
everybody.
Let's go.
Well, since the recording's not stopping, it's a good time to turn on the headlights, I guess. Alright, nothing creepy. Thought if the recording was still going, I probably should just pop on these headlights, and then if there is something freaky, I can go, holy fucking shit, there's a goddamn... Whatever it would have been, you know, at that point I would have screamed, this is what I'm looking at.